Was Spider-Man 2 really that bad? Yes and no, okay? Let me explain. Firstly, when Spider-Man 2 came out back in 2023, I actually really liked it. In fact, probably glazed it a little bit too much. It doesn't change the fact that I did really like it. It doesn't change the fact that I thought it was one of the best Spider-Man games, if not the best Spider-Man game that I've played. It doesn't change that fact. At that time, I genuinely thought that. But when it came to PC, I got a chance to replay it because I haven't had a PlayStation since like 2024 Christmas time because I sold it because I didn't have a job at the time anyway. Long story short, I had to sell it. I really did reach that stage. It's sad, isn't it, really? But yeah, I finally got to replay it and I'm conflicted. A part of me knows that I really liked it when I first played it, and maybe because I've already played it once, playing it a second time or a third time has kind of, you know, it's lost that magic, that wow factor to it. But on the other hand, there are a lot of things that I did mention in my previous video that I wasn't like a massive fan of, but I think I gave it way too much credit. So that's where I'm coming from with this video. You can go watch those ones if you want, it's on the channel. But as I was replaying it, a lot of things stood out to me that I didn't like, and there are other things that I still do like, and unfortunately it is further on the end of not liking it this time. It's funny that how opinions can change. We can do that, guys. I don't know if you knew that, but we can do that. YouTubers can do that. But here's how we're going to do it. So we've got story and gameplay. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not going to bother talking about the open world stuff unless it's involved in the gameplay, and because, well, I mean, there's not much to talk about. It's bigger. That's it. It's bigger and it's got more detail in it, apparently. Cool. Firstly, actually, what do you guys think? I don't know if you guys replayed it on PC or played it on PlayStation again at any point recently. After you replayed it, did your opinion on it change substantially, or just like didn't change at all, or just slightly, like a minimal change? I want to know, because well, it's such a drastic change for me, so it's interesting. I want to know. The first major point I want to make out with this video, with the story, is pacing. Somehow this game has managed to rush its story while also dragging it down and dragging it to a halt in some cases. It is very odd, very odd. And that comes through this desperation to have Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Miles Morales, Spider-Man, in the same story. And it can be done. We've seen that with Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. We've seen it with other games as well. Not like this, not to this extent, but we've seen it and it can be done. But for whatever reason, it just didn't work here. At least on replay. Peter Parker's story is the one that gets rushed, naturally. It's the symbiote story. It's the one that everyone was actually really interested in, what the game was marketed around, apart from Kraven. But so much of it is thrown at you, just like bang, bang, bang. It doesn't give any room to take it in or breathe it in. Even for the story itself, they say it in the script. It's only been like 2 or 3 days that he has the symbiote suit. But they just rush it so quickly, and I don't know why. The game starts with Peter being a teacher, right? He's just got a brand new job. He loses the job because of Sandman, and Miles Morales getting him to help out because Miles definitely couldn't have handled Sandman by himself, even though he proves in the opening bit that Miles probably could have handled it himself anyway. And over the course of the game, Peter just kind of gets dumped on until Harry turns up. When I say over the course of the game, I mean 2 or 3 missions. That's how quick this story moves. It's basically Peter getting screwed over. You know, things aren't working out with his house, he isn't paying his bills on time, he's relying on MJ, and then Harry turns up. Once Harry turns up, it's revealed he has the symbiote within like 2 or 3 missions once again, and then Peter dies just out of nowhere, even though everyone knew he wasn't going to die, and then he gets the symbiote, and then you get another, 3-4 missions with the symbiote? Like main missions, not side content, main missions, and then it's done. I'm serious, that's how it is. Go back and play the game. Go back and play the game. That's how quick this symbiote story went. Now, I could bang on about cut content and all that crap, but the reality is we're going to talk about the game that we got, not the stuff that we could have got. And it just doesn't suit the symbiote story at all. It really is annoying, because how many times have we hoped that the symbiote story will be done right, or at least right to comic fans? I don't know the comic story that well, but I know what makes the symbiote story work. And it doesn't work here at all. At all. I think it's actually one of the worst. I can't believe I'm saying this because I liked it so much the first time. I actually think it's one of the worst ways that you can tell this story. It doesn't help that Miles obviously has to be pushed into the story because obviously it's Spider-Man 2. You're going to have 2 Spider-Men. It doesn't help. But the reality is they spent so little time with Peter and the symbiote, and they spent too much time with Miles going through the same thing he went through in, his original game and half of Spider-Man 2018. But so much of it is just rushed. It's just constantly in the back of your mind while you're playing it. If you play just the main story, you don't bother with the side content. I'm not telling you to do that, but if you did, This game is probably 7 hours, 8. Whereas 2018 was probably about 12, 13, something like that. Kraven, you've got Venom, you've got Harry, you've got Norman, you've got Miles, you've got Rio, you've got just a lot of characters. And I'm not saying there isn't a lot of characters in 2018, but they weren't focused on. But Spider-Man 2 is trying to focus on all of these characters at the same time, and it just doesn't work. And I mean, that can be shown perfectly through Peter's arc in this story. He gets the symbiote and he survives. And the first thing he tries to do is get it off him, get it back onto Harry, okay? That's within the first, 3 hours of having the suit. Then the next day, he's out doing his own thing, he's trying to help Harry, etc. And then he starts, switching up. He's getting more angry, he's getting more Tobey Maguire-esque, I guess you can say. And then he goes home, and that's it. That's it. After that, all you've got is the Venom part. I'm not saying it's Peter because it's obviously Venom. Peter isn't in control. He's got no control over that. It's not him being... he's not in control in that MJ sequence. And then straight after that, he goes to try and find Miles, and then the suit's off. The whole point of the symbiote thing is to see how it affects Peter. That's the whole point. And you only get 2 scenes that are focused on it, with Peter telling Harry to pop more pills. Ooh, scary. I didn't even mean to make a Tobey Maguire joke there. I didn't mean that. But yeah, you get the point. It just feels so wasted. And the thing is, you can't tell the story again in this universe. This universe was built so well in 2018. I personally didn't like the story that much in 2018, weirdly enough. But the way they built the universe and set everything up with all the different villains and, the backstories on it, it was great. There was so much potential there. But Spider-Man 2's kind of just ruined the symbiote thing. And I was really looking forward to it. When we first found out we were going to have the black suit and everything, everyone freaked out. And then it just came and went. Because you can't do it in Spider-Man 3. You can't, because the story's been done. Now we've got to do Green Goblin and whatever else they're planning. It's just annoying, because it was a good opportunity. I can't believe I'm saying this. The MCU is my last hope for the symbiote stuff, man. I just want a decent adaptation of it. You know what I mean? Like a proper, somewhat dramatic, well done version. Not like Web of Shadows. We'll get into Web of Shadows. But it just goes nowhere. And then once Peter gets the symbiote off and deals with all that, Venom comes in for 2 or 3 missions. He's got 2 or 3 missions before the game ends. What? How? Why? It doesn't make any sense. I don't even want to get into Venom. Listen, Venom, I like this interpretation of Venom. I like that it's on Harry, but there's just not enough. He just turns up, he wants to heal the world, basically take over the world, and that's it. That's it. Harry hates Peter because Peter wouldn't help him. And Spider-Man 3, Eddie Brock hates Peter because he ruined his career. It's not the same, but it's the same. And Spider-Man 3, weirdly enough, has more time to build up that character, Eddie Brock, the film, than Harry gets with the symbiote. He just goes straight to Venom. Yeah, okay, you've got the Agent Venom stuff at the beginning, but that doesn't really count. You know what I mean? That's not Venom. It's just a bit annoying. I mean, there's various other things. I don't want to drag the video out too long with the story and everything, but MJ as well, I get it. I get what they're trying to do with her. I like what they're trying to do with her. I hope they do it even better in Spider-Man 3. But it also didn't work here. It just didn't work here. I mean, the main thing with her plotline is that she works for the Daily Bugle now, and she doesn't like it. But Peter just ignores it, even without the suit. Even without the symbiote, sorry. That makes no sense. Peter worked for this guy when he was 16, 17? That's when he was first getting his photographic gig. They even show a side mission with it. But he just thinks MJ's going to be cool with working for him. I mean, I guess you could say he was busy with other things, which is fair enough. But at the same time, that's MJ, what the fuck are you doing? You know this guy's a dick. J. Jonah Jameson is a prick. And if she's that good, she can get a journalist job anywhere. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's good for the sake of the story, I guess. You got to take some. You got to give it the benefit of the doubt at some point. You know what I mean? There's certain plot points that just need to go. But once again, that brings me back to the symbiote. It's probably the most disappointing thing for me in the story is the symbiote, because I mean, she gets upset with Peter because he doesn't want to read the article she wrote, despite being out there fighting crime for the last 2 days, and he just wants to go to sleep. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to sleep. I would want to go to sleep after 2 days of fighting Kraven and fuck knows what else. Anyway, I'm losing my energy here because it's just negative, isn't it? But there are some good bits to the story. There are some good bits. I actually really like Kraven. Kraven is fantastic as a villain. I love him. He doesn't get enough screen time, but the time he does, he kills it. He absolutely kills it, quite literally. Quite literally. He kills the Sinister Six in this game, apart from Doc Ock and Mr. Negative, which is pretty damn cool. Don't like it was off screen, but hey, it is what it is. It's not like the game's short enough. But Kraven is cool, and I like his motivations with him being sick, and basically he just wants to die. It's a very cool idea for the character. I like Harry being back, but overall, it just feels like an absolute mess to me on this replay. I mean, I had a lot of good things to say about it originally, but on replay, so much of it is lackluster. And I guess, I don't know, over the last year, maybe I just prefer different plot lines or different types of, you know, pacing. I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I just realised I haven't even talked about Miles. Miles' story does get dragged out a lot. His whole thing is he's pissed at Mr. Negative again, and he wants to stop Mr. Negative, potentially kill him. Cool. We did not need that plot point really in the game at all. It could be like a side plot point. Maybe when Mr. Negative escapes, you can play a side mission as Miles to go find him. But other than that, we didn't need that. Miles having to stop a museum from being closed down. Yeah, that's a cool mission. It's a cool idea. It's good. It's a good side mission. It didn't really need to be, you know, a focus. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the point this time around. But that's all I can really say for Miles, because Miles does nothing in this story. He does nothing. He doesn't need to be in it. He really doesn't, and I hate saying that because he probably plays the best. Now, moving on to the gameplay. There is a lot to like about the gameplay of Spider-Man 2. The swinging is better. The web wings are a cool addition. A bit OP, but hey, it is what it is. It's a cool addition to get around. It makes things quicker, stops you from fast traveling, despite it being one of like the main features they advertised in the trailers. I think the combat in some ways has been improved, but other ways it really hasn't. And we'll get into that. And the side missions are definitely more interesting this time around. That's all we can really talk about. Combat is the biggest one that I should talk about right now, because there are good things and bad things. Good things, I feel like combat is better paced. It's quicker, you get to the point. It doesn't feel quite as, what's the word, bloated in a way compared to 2018. 2018, you could get your max power-ups, but the enemies still just took quite a long time to beat. Whereas in Spider-Man 2, you can quickly mop them up, while also it being a little bit more difficult. But they removed so much of what made 2018 interesting. The gadgets are all gone. You get 4 gadgets. Both Spider-Man, both Peter and Miles use the same gadgets. I don't know why they did that. They both use the same gadgets. You upgrade them with the same, so they both upgrade at the same time. And it just drags away a lot of that creativity you've got from 2018 in favor of these powers that you can get. So the symbiote powers and the spider powers and the electric powers. And you get 4 of them as well. So in total you've got 8 options at all times. 8 options. Punching, webbing, and powers. That's it. And I think that was a big mistake. It was very clear they were testing the waters with Miles Morales, with the powers you can get with him in his outing in 2020, I think it was. And they clearly thought that was the better option, so they went with that in Spider-Man 2 because of the symbiote powers, but I don't think it works. The combat's quicker, but it's actually a mix of harder and easier, but it's easier most of the time because the powers are so OP, and I get that, you want that satisfaction. I just don't think it works, man. Like, is it fun? Yes. Is it improved? No. You've just switched out bits that people liked and tried to replace it with things you also think people would like, rather than expanding on what was available in 2018. And while I get the viewpoint on doing that, and in some ways it worked, I mean, I enjoyed it the first time I played it, but on a replay, it's so glaringly just mid. It's just mid. It doesn't even really make sense to do it, because the enemy types that they add in, the variety, is non-existent pretty much. You've got the big brutes, and then you've got shield guys, and then you've got the lower guys. That's it. Again, that's the same thing as 2018, except some of them use fire. I don't know, man. I think a lot of this comes down to me playing Web of Shadows recently. Web of Shadows is my favorite game to play for the symbiote aspect, okay? The power fantasy you get from it. And a lot of people say, well, Web of Shadows and Spider-Man 2 are very different games. Yeah, they are. Combat ain't. Combat isn't. What do you mean? The combat, you beat people up and yeah, you beat people up in this one too. Web of Shadows doesn't have the gadgets. You just got the webs, but then you get the symbiote powers and the beat 'em up stuff. And then Spider-Man 2 has symbiote powers, but 4. You have 4 symbiote powers that you can't adapt, you can't you know, make it your own. You can't really customize any of them. They just do the same thing again and again. Pick them up, slam down, punch. They do the same thing the gadgets were doing in 2018. It just looks different. Impact Web is your punch. This thing where you throw people up and then throw people down again. That is the gravity thing, except you actually have more gameplay options in 2018 to mess around with that. The explosion that you do with the symbiote powers, you know, when you blast everyone to, you know, pieces, you could do that with the web bomb. That's why it doesn't work for me. It just looks different. It doesn't feel different. It sounds different, but it just doesn't feel different to me. I feel like it's a wasted potential. I don't know, man. I don't think it was that bad. That's the whole point of this video, but it's just so incredibly mid. And it got these 9s out of 10s and 10 out of 10s and stuff like that. And admittedly, I was kind of one of them. I glazed it and I did have fun with it. I absolutely did. But when you replay it, the flaws get more and more obvious. And I just found myself kind of drifting in and out of consciousness while I was playing it. I was just like, oh, that was cool. And then I moved on. You know, that's just me, man. Let me know your thoughts. If you agree, please let me know. If you disagree, also let me know. I got that from the Elden Ring video that I made a couple days ago. I'm aware. I've looked at the feedback. I'm aware I was wrong. Okay, I'm aware. Okay. I will make a follow-up video. But other than that, like the video if you did. Stick with the Sticky Man bar, subscribe, and really appreciate it. And, you know, have a good day. Cheerio.